This day in sports history. It's June 3rd, and if you have had the pleasure of watching the sports doc Bronx Zoo 90, Crime, Chaos, and Baseball, then you will be familiar with what happened on this day in 1990. So this has just the barest of things to do with sports other than it happened in the Yankees clubhouse, but it did kind of exemplify just how much of a dumpster fire the 1990 Yankees were. New York was closing out a 3-game homestand against the Baltimore Orioles on this day. Mel Hall was in the lineup as the designated hitter. Now, who knows what was going through Mel Hall's mind that day? And if you watch the documentary, there really wasn't anybody who could figure out what he was thinking at any given moment. But he thought it would be a great idea to bring his pair of baby cougars to Yankee Stadium. Hall had purchased the pair of cougar cubs from a Florida exotic pet dealer for $5,000. And when he showed up in the clubhouse with the Cubs, it was, to say the least, quite a shock for the other players and the attendants in the locker room that day. Second baseman Steve Sachs hoped that they had already been fed. And what was not a shock is that the Cubs did what Cubs do, meaning after Mel tied them up at his locker, they peed all over the carpet, leaving quite a mess for one unfortunate clubhouse attendant to clean up. Unfortunately, you could also say that he had a preference for Cubs over mature adults because, well, Mel Hall was also in the midst of a relationship with a 15-year-old girl that would ultimately lead to his arrest and 45-year prison sentence. He also faced legal action for owning cougars. It was and still is illegal to own cougars in the state of New York, and even if it wasn't, it's still not a great idea. He was arrested in October that year for owning the cougars, and he had to pay a fine, but he avoided jail time for that infraction. So let's switch to a baseball story that actually has something to do with baseball. On this day in 1967, it was a monster shot by Harmon Killebrew that has lived in Minnesota Twins lore for more than 50 years. It was the California Angels taking on the Twins in Minneapolis on this day. 40-year-old Lou Burdett was on in relief for the Angels when Killebrew strode to the plate in the fourth with 2 men on. Killebrew was a long ball hitter. He'd led the league in home runs 4 times already, and he would go on to lead the American League in dingers in '67 and again in '69. Killebrew's nickname was Killer, and he crushed a Burdett pitch, sending it high and long to left field into the empty upper deck of Metropolitan Stadium. The ball was hit so hard that when it hit one of the seats, it broke part of it off. It was later measured to be 522 feet, but many thought that it would have traveled at least 600 feet if it had flown unobstructed. It was the first known ball to be hit into the upper deck, and it was the longest ever hit at Metropolitan Stadium. The Twins would hang on to win the game 8-6. Now, the bat that Killebrew hit that home run with lasted for another 27 games before it broke. The bat carried this mythology, sort of like Thor's hammer Mjolnir, and it was screwed back together and it was used to stir the pine tar bucket in hopes that a little bit of that magic might rub off on the other Twins bats. The broken seat became a tourist attraction. The Twins' ticket office refused to sell a ticket for the seat for the next 15 years. Souvenir seekers would carve off a little piece every now and again, and a plaque was put in to commemorate this day, and that got stolen as well. After the Twins and Vikings moved out of the Met in 1982, the stadium drifted into disrepair. It was eventually torn down, and in its place was built the Mall of America. Today, there is a replica red chair bolted to a wall near the log ride in the amusement park portion of the mall to show the approximate location of the chair that Killebrew hit on this day, with a replica plaque shaped like home plate in the floor 522 feet away. This episode is brought to you by the Sterling Soap Company. Sterling Soap is 100% natural, and with a variety of bath soaps, shave soaps, beard balm, lotions, cologne, and many more personal care products in a large variety of scents, you're sure to find something that's perfect for you or that special someone in your life. Check them out at sterlingsoap.com. On this day in 1992, Michael Jordan shrugged because not even he could believe what was happening. It was Game 1 of the NBA Finals between the Chicago Bulls and the Portland Trail Blazers. Air Jordan versus Clyde the Glide Drexler. Now, the day before, people had been talking to MJ about Drexler, comparing the two. In a lot of statistical categories, they were fairly equal, except for one: three-pointers. Drexler liked to shoot them. Jordan wasn't really known as a three-point shooter. The difference was not dramatic. On average, Drexler shot about 4 or 5 a game and hit 2 or 3. Jordan took about 1 a game, and he made less than a third of those attempts. But what Jordan seemed to hear was, Clyde Drexler is a better three-point shooter than you. What are you gonna do about it? Well, Jordan did what he always did. He came out to prove to everybody that if he wanted to, he could shoot the three.
Rebounded by Grant. Jordan for 3, yes!
That was MJ's 5th three-pointer of the first half, coming with 2:13 to play. That set an NBA Finals record for threes and a half and put him in range to best Elgin Baylor's NBA Finals record for points and a half. That record fell with 1:24 remaining in the half when Jordan was inexplicably left open again for this shot.
There's Jordan for 3, yes! Did you see that look? Michael indicating he can't believe it.
That gave him 35 points in the first half for the new NBA Finals record, and as he ran back up the court, he turned to Marv Albert and Magic Johnson sitting courtside calling the game, and he shrugged, explaining in a non-verbal way that even he was a bit surprised at what was happening.
After a while, I just looked at Marv and Magic and those guys. What can I say? I mean, it's not me. It's just a moment.
So, for comparison, Michael hit 6 of 10 threes in the game and finished with a game-high 39 points. Drexler was 0 for 2 from 3, and he ended the night with 16. Clyde must have been wondering after this game, I didn't even say anything to the man, and yet I still got put on blast? The Bulls won Game 1, 122-89, and would go on to win the NBA title in 6 games for their 2nd in a row. On this day in 2013, former NFL defensive lineman Deacon Jones passed away at the age of 74. Jones played 14 seasons in the NFL, most of those as part of the fearsome foursome of the Los Angeles Rams. Jones was a game-changing defensive end who used his speed and a head slap like Da Vinci used a brush. And if you have ever watched any football game at any level, then you are most certainly aware of a Deacon Jones creation: the sack. Well, not the act of tackling the quarterback in the backfield per se, but he coined the term sack. He explained that getting to the quarterback and dropping him for a loss was as devastating as when an army would invade a city and sack it. So next time you talk about a quarterback getting sacked, say a little thank you to Deacon Jones. 2023 was a pretty big year for Major League Soccer here in the U.S. with the signing of Lionel Messi by Inter Miami. It was a huge day in the history of the league that actually has a rival from the 1970s. On this day in 1975, the New York Cosmos signed Pele to play in the North American Soccer League. Some similarities here between Pele and Messi. Pele was 34 when he signed, Messi was 35. Both were, or in Messi's case, still the most well-known athletes on the planet. Pele signed a 3-year, $7 million contract to play in New York, and he came out of retirement to do it. The previous October, Pele had hung up the cleats after scoring 1,216 goals in 1,253 games. He'd led Brazil to 3 World Cup titles. Pele's signing was huge for the NASL and eventually opened the door for other well-known soccer players to come play in the U.S. Pele made his debut in the league 12 days later, scoring a goal in a 2-2 draw with Dallas. In a league where the average attendance prior to him coming was around 12,000 a game, Pele drew fans to the matches. In a regular season game in 1977 against Tampa Bay, an NASL record crowd of 62,394 fans piled into Giants Stadium to watch Pele score a hat trick in a 3-0 win. He drew nearly 78,000 fans to a playoff match. He would eventually play 85 games for the Cosmos and lead the team to the league title in 1977. Tiger Woods has always had that flair for the dramatic. Well, on this day in 2012, Tiger won his 73rd PGA Tour event, tying him with Jack Nicklaus for second on the all-time wins list. The tournament he won? Jack's own Memorial Tournament at Muirfield. And of course, the win couldn't be run-of-the-mill. Oh no, Woods birdied 3 of the last 4 holes, including a dramatic chip-in for birdie on 16 that he called one of the toughest shots he ever made. Trailing Rory Sabatini by a shot at this point, his ball was in thick greenside grass with a lie that was less than perfect. There was a ridge in the green that if he left it short, then at the very least, it's a 2-putt bogey. There was water behind the green, so if he hit it too hard, well, it's getting wet.
There, so he's going to have to go vertical with the super high lob and just take his chances. But I'd say anything inside of 6 feet would be a wonderful shot.
Oh, I guess. Straight up. Oh, yeah, look at this, Peter. Look at this shot. Look at this. Might go in. Might go in. Might go in. It is in.
Nicklaus was simply in awe of that shot, saying that Tiger put it in the only spot that he could. Tiger's final round 67 lifted him to a 2-shot win, and at this point, Tiger was 10 years younger than when Nicklaus won his 73rd. Tiger has since won 9 more PGA Tour events, tying him with Sam Snead for the most. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. You know, humor has always been a source of pleasure, going back to the beginning of human consciousness and thought. The Sumerians enjoyed a good joke and actually came up with what is considered to be the first walked into a bar joke. There is a stone tablet that dates back to around 2000 BCE with this interesting knee slapper. A dog walks into a bar and says, "I cannot see a thing. I'll open this one." I imagine that was probably followed up with, "I'll be here all week. Try the veal," or something like that. Yeah, nobody really is laughing at that one now because, well, we don't understand the context. But to Sumerians, it was so funny, somebody chiseled it in stone. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.